Hey everyone, Alex here, and I can't believe it, we're on our final speech. And in this speech, we are tasked with taking an analytic look at each chapter and taking a topic and talking about it. Yeah, without delay, we'll get right into this. And on my slide, the first top left is adaptability. And to me, that means being adaptable whenever you're on stage, whether it be a heckler or a question that you don't understand completely. Um, you either have to take the questions, capture them, and bring an answer back to the questioner later, or think on your feet, or deal with the heckler or the people talking in the audience correctly and professionally. Next, moving right along, because we only have 5 to 7 minutes. Brand. Brand is just like your identity, and we can do it either way. Like we can do it to other people, we can brand other people, or we can be branded. We do it to ourselves. We do it to other things. It's not a bad thing. You just sometimes you brand yourself, or you brand yourself with others. Um, Profanity is really important to know and to know when to use and to not use. I'm a major proponent of profanity. I am of the opinion that there's no such thing as bad words. They're just bad intentions and bad people. And again, time and place for everything. But General Patton, one of my heroes as a veteran, he said a quote, loosely quoting him here. He says, "Give it to my men, dirty and double and dirty, because it'll stick with them." And when you're leading troops into combat, anything that will help cognition and concentration and remembering orders will help you. So don't sugarcoat things. Be direct in that sense of things. To me, that's my environment working at U.S. Central Command. I work with veterans and active duty military all the time, so it's not a weird thing for me to hear my boss, a two-star general or whatever, cuss. But in other businesses, I guess that would be weird. Um, I don't want to belabor that point, so we'll move on to listening and to nonverbal communication. And I didn't know this before I started my journey into being a communications major, um, but the most communication we do is nonverbal, whether it's reading body language or talking with your eyes, things like that, and that's the majority of communication we do with our body. Listening versus hearing is a very awesome skill that you should take home and apply to everything that you do, because listening is what we really want to do instead of just hearing. Listening means that you're digesting what the person is telling you, and this helps you in your personal life and your professional life. Um, so then the next one, we're going to go to collaboration style, and that's my personal conflict resolution method that I like to use a lot. So I don't like to avoid conflict. I like to just get it on and get back to normality and get back to like when things are good and blissful and normal, as opposed to avoiding things and letting them fester and become way bigger and out of context and remembered incorrectly and all that stuff. So it's best for me to just get things done. Um, the next one is brainstorming, and that's they're talking about your speech generation process and how you should start things. And I like to brainstorm. Brainstorming is really good, and the way they talk about it is just writing down a bunch of ideas without analyzing them, and then go back to it. And I find it's best to do that with a cup or two or three, maybe 4 cups of coffee. um, and then the next one, we're moving along here with time in mind, is demographic analysis, and it's just like it kind of ties into profanity, which is next to. And so, like I said, you don't want to develop a speech or have your diction loaded with profanity when you're going to be talking to a preschool or a church gathering or any other professional organization that doesn't like profanity. It's important to know that. And how you can do that is to analyze your demographic and figure out who you're talking to. Take a second, figure it out. Extratemporous speaking, that's the typical way we talk. Nothing really to elaborate on there, just the regular way we speak. And I like I like speeches that are conducted that way, um, generally anyway, because I really don't want to belabor this point, but we're moving to a time now where we don't have to fit our opinion into a 60-second soundbite. We don't have to do it on. There's so many more elaborate ways of getting our point across, like podcasts or getting off from Facebook and talking to people in person. And you know who you can trust, people like you and people like me, just like regular people, and have a conversation. You don't want to talk like a robot, and don't talk like talk normal. The next one is coercion. And that one is pretty important too because there's a difference between influencing and coercing people. Coercing kind of has like a negative um, connotation, um, but people are generally only negatively opinionated on coercion when they realize they've been coerced into doing something. So important to remember, but it's really important to know that. Cover letter, that's in the resume chapter, and they talk about that. They talk a lot about resumes. Cover letters, though, to me are important because I'd say generally if you don't submit a cover letter with your resume, you're not even going to get looked at. And your cover letter is a great chance for you to get intimate with the reader or the offeree and have them tell you what and why they want the job. And I always take that and take a chance. Hey, I want this job because my wife's pregnant, or I don't like driving as much, or I want to go work here because I love your mission, or I love your job. Moving right along to laissez-faire leadership style, I think that's the most supreme form of leadership as a leader because at that point you had a dedicated team which you have micromanaged and made sure that their skill levels are where they want to be, and then you can have your hands off and have laissez-faire leadership where you treat your subordinates and your coworkers like adults and don't care. And if they screw up, then you take action and then you intervene. But generally, I feel like most workers are happy if they're just left alone. And the last one is a panel discussion, and I recently participated in a panel discussion. The WW or the WFF thing is the Warfighter Forum, and this is something I did in Colorado. But there are these like large auditorium chairs that I sat in, and we all took in part of this panel discussion. Um, and it's important to know in that speaking environment to keep your um, your speech concise on the topic and limit your profanity. Yeah, and then on the slide I took some time to put some photos on there of great speakers. Um, there's Stone Cold Steve Austin, President Obama, and some guy from Greece, myself, and Tulsi Gabbard. Um, and yeah, so they've been speaking for a long time. Orators. That's like the oldest photo I could think of like that are good speakers like Pericles, and I mean who knows, that's who that's supposed to be, but is that really what Pericles looked like? I don't know, but Pericles. Um, and so yeah, anyway, guys, it's been a great semester, and thank you so much, and I appreciate everything I've learned, Professor. So thank you, and hope to see you one day again in class or in person. Thank you.